This is gonna be the last. I don't know if we should spoil that.
I think that was already known. This was the last.
After part 1, he's been wanted dead or alive for 3 movies already, so I don't think they can do a 5th.
No.
And
Hiroyuki Sanada delivers lines in English better than Keanu Reeves. And he's Japanese.
yeah, I'm gonna need a gun.
I'm going to need a gun.
I also like the one-on-one of Hiroyuki and Donnie Yen.
Yeah.
They look effortless.
Oh, comfortable. They're so comfortable.
And how it ended, wherein Donnie Yen didn't kill Hiroyuki's daughter because he understands that he has a daughter too, you see.
Mm-hmm.
Reminds you of Kill Bill, doesn't it, when he says, I'll be waiting for you, you know?
You grow up, if you still feel raw about it, I'll be waiting.
Oh, I didn't know you watched those.
I've seen Kill Bill, not Kill Bill 2. I think that's why there was so much action. There were so many sequences because they're like, we're gonna go out with a bang.
I was worn out of the action, the first 20 minutes of the hotel battle.
Mm-hmm.
But when you get to the end, another 20-minute battle, another 30-minute battle, and it's the same. Yeah, it felt like a dance.
What I appreciate about the action is that every shot's not a headshot in this. You know, it's difficult. It takes several shots sometimes to kill someone. They were missing. And so it even though there was some cartoonish things and John Wick himself is like, this guy's indestructible. I know he's wearing a Kevlar suit, but that doesn't mean he's not going to break his back when he falls 3 stories and lands on a car.
Oh yeah, how many times has he been hit by a car at that last sequence?
Seriously.
It's like watching Wile E. Coyote chasing the Roadrunner. Like, how many times is he going to survive? But besides that, the gunplay seemed more like real life in that people weren't just dying immediately. They weren't all headshots. There was a zombie movie that came out recently, and it was criticized because every shot was a headshot.
Army of the Dead. John Wick 1, it was superficial, but it was not this superficial. I think every sequel, they got more and more superficial. What do you think?
Yeah. They keep upping the ante. That's what these movies are. It's like, look at all the cool guns and the cool cars.
The American muscle.
Yeah. You know, that's part of the John Wick mythos. You've got to have a cool dog now, and you've got to have a cool car. You know, and that car, that looks like you see that car in real life, you're like, that's a John Wick car.
And of course, when it happened, I was like, oh, he's going to take that car. Did you hear me say that out loud in the theater?
Yes, I did.
I think the reason why they could no longer do another sequel is that I've noticed that they've repeated some of the character tropes. Like on part 2 and 3, I can't remember, but John Wick had to get an approval from his Russian family, so he had to do a blood ritual where he pierced his finger with a needle and dropped blood on the pin. And on part 4, she had to do the ritual with this girl from Game of Thrones. I forgot her name.
Oh yeah, that's where she's from. I remember that. Yeah, where they had to do that, and they had to do the tattoo this time.
Again, I have no complaints about that. It was still good action, and I think the action is what people pay to see.
For sure.
I don't think John Wick fans are going to mind the repetitiveness, because it's like I said before about James Bond. You know, back in the old days when you went to see a James Bond movie, it was like going to a restaurant and getting a 5-course meal. You have the certain things that you expect. You expect the girls, you expect the gadgets, you expect the one-liners, you expect, you know, him to get a martini, shaken not stirred. There's elements you expect from a Bond film. It's the same with John Wick. You're expecting a fight in a hotel. You're expecting, you know, different elements in the fight. I like how they included the horses in 3. Remember I talked about, I love that they up it a little bit each time they add stuff. You know, there's a motorcycle instead of a car, you know, things like that. So in that way, it's repetitive and it's the same, but then it's just a little different.
It's just that the story of the first is very memorable. There was a lot of memes about that puppy. Thanos wasn't killed by the Avengers, but Thanos killed John Wick's puppy, and now Thanos is scared that John Wick's coming after him. So, but 2, 3, and 4, I'm not sure if it was that memorable. It was. I could combine 2, 3, and 4. You can make that into like one movie almost. What do you think?
Kind of interchangeable.
I don't. I think 2 and 3 could have been together, but I think 4 kind of stands on its own. I think it's because it's the most like the first one when there's actually an attachment to the characters, where there's not really any characters in the 2 or 3. I mean, you're kind of getting attached to Halle Berry, but not so much. Where in the first one, you know, it's him and his wife and the dog, and he's just grieving and torn apart. And then in the 4th one, it's his friends, like his friends, not Winston from the hotel, but like his friends are involved, and their daughters, and he's that inner struggle, and also them being in this position that is just like a lose-lose. But what are you going to do? The best thing you can do is give your life for your friend, you know?
I completely agree. Hiroyuki and Donnie Yen elevated
Absolutely
the material. They elevated the story because those characters you could identify with, and they're such good actors.
Man, what a great cast.
Yeah.
Donnie Yen. I mean, look, Mr. Ip Man himself, you know I love Donnie Yen. Also, my favorite character from Rogue One.
Donnie Yen was blind in that Star Wars movie too.
Yeah, that's right. It made me wonder, is Donnie Yen blind? Did I not know that he was blind?
We had Lance Reddick. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, rest in peace to Lance Reddick.
Oh, that's horrible. Yeah.
You know, and I can imagine that might be difficult for family members of his to watch this movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's always good. Ian McShane, excellent. Clancy Brown is the high table guy. People may not know that he's the voice of Mr. Krabs on SpongeBob SquarePants.
Well, Plankton, like a reheated Krabby Patty, you've been foiled again!
And then...
Yeah, and the Bill Skarsgård, he's the guy from It by Stephen King.
He's Pennywise.
Georgie, meet Pennywise.
Lawrence Fishburne,
The king.
they didn't give him anything to do. He just handed John Wick the Kevlar suit.
Yeah.
He didn't do much, really.
He's just Morpheus. We just like seeing Morpheus and Neo in a movie. I felt like some of this fighting was CGI.
Is it?
I could be wrong, but there were a couple spots where I was like, that's not a real person. I know the one sequence where the girl's stabbing the guy and she's like climbing on him. There was a couple spots where it did not look real to me. I'm like, that looks, because he was moving so fast, and I know they can speed the film up, but it didn't look real. I thought they might have cheated a little bit with some computer images. It didn't ruin it for me. It was still really cool. That looks like a video game. A lot of the sequences in this movie look like they've been influenced by video games. First-person shooter games are kind of making their way into movies now. Like, you know, the one where you're getting a bird's eye view, right?
Yeah, third-person view.
Looks like a drone shot where you're looking down into the house and he's going through rooms and he's shooting everyone. It looks like, what does it look like? It looks like a Zelda or something, right?
Okay, but that was so cool.
That was probably my favorite sequence in the whole movie. The most interesting twist to the story, and what made this one more interesting than the last couple, was when Winston brings to him this idea of a duel and how it's part of the old, the old way. Because you think to yourself, there's no way out of this. He's going to be hunted for the rest of his life.
Yeah, and I agree with what Jim said. Like, again, just this one, there was way more conflict. Even in the beginning, you're just like, what's the wonderful Japanese actor? I can't remember his name.
Hiroyuki Sanada.
Thank you. Sanada. You're just like, please don't kill him. It's something's going to happen to him, and then his daughter and everything. And I'm just like, man. And he's just like, this isn't about a debt. Oh, this is about friendship. And so you're torn, and you can see this guy is torn too. I mean, really, when they're getting to the duel part, I'm like, okay, there's going to be a way out of this because John's not going to kill him. You knew John wasn't going to kill him, but how are they going to? And then, I don't want to give the end away, but
that was a good twist.
It was a good twist. This ended appropriately, and it was great, and it was beautiful and poetic, and I thought it was a good little wrap it up with a bow,